The night was advertised as calm, just another glossy dinner shoot full of fake laughter and cameras staging picture-perfect moments. But instead, it exploded into a spectacle no one saw coming. Reports are flooding timelines and fans can't stop replaying every messy second. As plates rattled and glasses shook across the table, Yandy allegedly turned the heat on her own husband, Mendeecees, dropping personal truths that made the entire cast choke. What was supposed to be a polished evening spiraled into chaos, and insiders swear it was unlike anything they had ever witnessed before. Witnesses claimed that the second Yandy's words sliced through the room, the entire vibe froze. Mendeecees' face stiffened. His voice cracked as he fumbled to clap back. But before anyone could breathe, Sierra dove in, cranking the drama to a brand new high. What followed was screaming, finger-pointing, and emotions exploding so wildly that both cast members and fans were left gagged. Now, the burning question being asked everywhere: why did Yandy choose this exact night to unload such heavy receipts? And why did Sierra ignite flames instead of cooling things down? Rumors point to buried secrets, shady beefs, and betrayals finally catching up. One thing's clear: nothing will ever look the same after that dinner. As the night dragged on, the air stayed thick yet eerily calm, the kind of silence that always teases a bigger storm. Cameras kept rolling, catching fake smiles, clinking, glasses, and surface-level small talk. But people at the table swear there was a pulse of tension humming beneath it all. Yandy sat steady, eyes scanning every face, like she'd already practiced the lines she was about to fire. Mendeecees leaned closer, totally clueless about the ambush coming his way, while Sierra sat perched, clearly waiting to pounce the second things blew up. What began as routine taping flipped instantly. Insiders claim Yandy's tone dropped, her words suddenly sharp, every sentence hitting like a rock in still water. She didn't start with rage, but with an icy precision that rattled the room. Sometimes the truth just has to spill, she allegedly snapped, staring dead at Mendeecees. Forks froze midair. Conversations collapsed, every eye locked onto the couple. Mendeecees, blindsided, let out a weak laugh, brushing her off. Witnesses say what started as playful banter turned razor-sharp when Yandy leaned in and dropped a line that made jaws crash to the floor. Whatever spilled out was raw, personal, and sliced open an old wound everyone thought was buried. The air got heavy instantly. Fans later swore online that Mendeecees' face told the whole story. Shock, denial, and finally a flash of fury as he scrambled to snatch back control. The vibe flipped hard, voices shot up, and the calm hum of dinner morphed into a storm of gasps and whispers. One insider claims Sierra, who had been playing quiet, suddenly slapped her hand on the table and barked, "Enough is enough! Stop playing games with us!" That outburst poured gasoline on the fire, dragging her headfirst into a feud she wasn't even supposed to be part of, at least not on paper. As the shouting peaked, fans who later caught leaked clips said they'd never seen Mendeecees unravel like that. He wasn't yelling at the room, he was locked on Yandy, accusing her of plotting to humiliate him in front of everyone. "You think this is the time and place?" he snapped, his chair screeching across the floor as he lunged forward. Yandy didn't flinch. Chin high, eyes locked, she shot back that the time for pretending had expired ages ago. The rawness bleeding across that table was undeniable. Sources say Erica, seated a few spots down, tried to play peacemaker, begging them to cool it before things got ugly. But Sierra wasn't here for peace. She fired off her own accusations, voice booming so loud even the mediators froze. "If we're exposing truths tonight, then let's not hold anything back," she allegedly roared, flipping the room into a full-on battleground. In the end, the fallout wasn't just about the secrets spilled. It was the brutal way they were delivered. Every word landed heavy, dripping with years of bottled tension. Fans later argued this wasn't just Yandy versus Mendeecees. It was about fractures in their entire circle that had been swept under the rug far too long. The second Sierra jumped in, the fight stopped being private and mutated into a storm that swallowed everyone at the table. Mendeecees tried to clap back, tossing out points that sounded less like logic and more like a man desperate to save his pride. "You're twisting things," he snapped, his voice shaking with frustration. But Yandy's reply cut cleaner. accusing him of burying truths she refused to protect any longer. Her words weren't whispered. They were broadcast for the whole room, almost like a declaration that her silence had officially expired. Gasps followed. Some guests sat frozen, hands over mouths like they'd just witnessed a crime scene. Others stared down at their plates, clearly dying to escape the tension without getting dragged in. Online, the fallout hit instantly. That was the rawest moment in reality TV history. "I've never seen dinner turn into a courtroom that fast," one viral comment read. Viewers confessed they felt pulled into the mess as if they were seated right there, living the drama in real time. And Sierra only cranked the chaos higher. She wasn't just yelling, she was calling people out, her voice shaking like a dam finally breaking. "You think only 2 people here got secrets?" she fired back. "Stop acting like this is about one couple. It's about all of us." That blast poured gasoline on suspicions that the table was hiding way more than one scandal. Secrets piled on secrets, ready to explode. Mendeecees, visibly rattled, tried to stand tall. Witnesses recall him shouting above the storm, refusing to let anyone paint him as the villain. "Say what you want, but don't come for me like I'm the problem," he reportedly barked, eyes locked on Yandy but words aimed at the entire room. Meanwhile, his tension with Sierra grew unbearable as she pushed harder, refusing to back down. Sierra kept hammering at his every excuse, and suddenly that picture-perfect dinner spread looked less like fine dining and more like a battlefield. Napkins lay crumpled on the floor, glasses rattled from fists slamming the table, and voices piled over each other until the chaos was almost incoherent. Insiders whispered that even security started inching closer, worried the shouting match was seconds away from turning physical. Fans later roasted the scene online, saying the dinner needed a referee more than a server. But buried beneath the yelling was something far heavier: raw, unfiltered vulnerability. Yandy's eruption wasn't just about confrontation. It was about release. She'd carried suspicion and doubt on her back for too long, and the weight finally broke through. Her eyes glistened, not with fury, but with the ache of years swallowed in silence. Even her harshest critics admitted there was something painfully human in that outburst. Mendeecees, on the other hand, clung to pride like armor. He refused to bend, every word dripping with the desperation of a man terrified of losing control. Debate online raged. Was his fury proof of false accusations, or the panic of someone exposed too soon? Either way, his battle to hold composure only made the spectacle more addictive. And then came the pause, the eerie silence after the explosion. Plates sat untouched, glasses still, not a fork lifted. Witnesses swore it was the kind of silence that swallows a room whole, suffocating and permanent, as if everyone instantly knew the night had changed them forever. No nervous giggles, no awkward sips of water, just the world frozen, waiting for the next blow to land. It felt like the oxygen had frozen solid after Yandy's bombshell and Sierra's fiery outburst. But let's be real, silence never survives long in this crew. Sierra leaned back slow, eyes locked on Mendeecees, practically daring him to test her. Her voice dipped low, calm but cutting like glass. "You think you can hide behind that charm? Forever? People are tired of pretending." The reaction was instant. Gasps, side eyes, whispers thick enough to choke the room. She wasn't tossing casual shade. She was slicing open scars everyone had worked overtime to bury. Mendeecees' jaw tightened, his body language screaming that he was seconds away from cracking. Witnesses say he shoved his chair back, planting, both hands on the table, glaring down at Sierra with a venom-laced, "You don't know what you're talking about." Still seated, Yandy never flinched, her silence stabbing deeper than any insult. The energy between them was electric, the kind of tension you can't script no matter how messy reality TV tries. Fans online later crowned it the showdown of the season, the way Yandy held his gaze without blinking, the way Sierra pressed forward like she had nothing to lose, and the way Mendeecees struggled to keep his grip on dominance. It was raw, too raw to dismiss. Erica, trembling, tried once more to play mediator, pleading, "Everyone, just calm down, this is getting out of hand." But instead of peace, instead of cooling flames, Erica's plea only added gasoline. Sierra whipped toward her, spitting, accusations that she was always playing the saint. Peacemaker? Please. You've seen things, heard things, and yet you sit there acting like none of it matters. Erica froze, stunned, her mouth opening and closing with nothing to give back. When the clip hit social media, fans went wild. Some swore Sierra had crossed a line, while others praised her for saying what everyone else was too scared to admit. "She's messy, but she's right," one fan posted. Another clapped back, "No, she's just stirring the pot for screen time." But no matter the stance, the consensus was clear. The dinner's energy was unmatched chaos. That's when Yandy finally broke her silence. Her voice dropped soft, but lethal. "I kept quiet because I thought it was better to protect the family, but silence has only made things worse." Mendeecees shook his head furiously, snapping, "You're exaggerating, just trying to make me look bad." Without missing a beat, Yandy fired back, "I'm not making you look bad. You did that all by yourself." Boom. The table erupted again. Sierra shouted in support. Others begged for calm, while Mendeecees roared over the noise, demanding they stop ganging up on him. The dinner officially disintegrated into chaos. Viewers later dubbed it less a dinner and more a courtroom, every guest suddenly judge and jury. What sent shockwaves was how fast buried secrets clawed their way back into the light. Reports claim Sierra didn't stop with Mendeecees. She threw shade across the table, hinting at betrayals others thought were long dead. "Don't act perfect," she allegedly snapped at another guest. "Everybody here got dirt, and if tonight's the night of truth, then let it spill." It was clear she was hell-bent on ripping every skeleton out of every closet, no matter the wreckage left behind. And as Yandy's tears finally welled, they weren't weakness. They were the kind of tears that screamed strength through pain. Fans said those weren't tears of weakness. They looked like the release of years carrying secrets. Yandy wiped them fast, making sure no one mistook them for defeat. With her voice steady and sharp, she told Mendeecees, "You don't get to make me feel small anymore." Viewers later admitted that moment sent chills down their spines, calling it one of the strongest statements she'd ever made. But of course, Mendeecees wasn't letting the spotlight slip. He paced the room like a man cornered, spitting out, "This is nothing but lies twisted into drama." Yet with every word, his credibility cracked. That's when Sierra, ever the dramatist, threw her hands in the air and scoffed, "Then prove it. Show us you're clean. Because from here, it looks like Yandy isn't the only one sick of your games." The endless back and forth drained everyone in the room, but still, no one budged. They sat frozen, equal parts horrified and fascinated, watching the implosion unravel live. Online, the chaos spread like wildfire. Some fans crowned Yandy a warrior for finally speaking out. Others defended Mendeecees, accusing the women of staging a public ambush. And then Sierra, depending on who you asked, was either the bold hero of the night or the ultimate instigator. Hashtags trended within hours, clips flooded every platform. But the image burned into everyone's mind wasn't the shouting. It was Yandy's face once silence finally hit. She looked lighter, almost free, while Mendeecees seemed crushed under the weight of every accusation. At that point, it wasn't just an argument. It was truth versus denial, exposure versus control. And Sierra, leaning in with a voice just low enough to sting but loud enough for all to hear, dropped the line that made the whole room hold its breath. "You wanted to keep that table polished." Like a magazine spread, Yandy shot at Mendeecees, eyes locked like daggers. But tonight, the truth flipped it over. The line sliced the air, sending fresh ripples through the room. Everyone knew, once chaos escapes, there's no stuffing it back. The night dragged on with silence so sharp it hurt, broken only by sudden bursts of shouting. No forks lifted, no fake laughs, no more pretending. The vibe had shifted for good, leaving everyone with the sick feeling that something irreversible had gone down. And yet, beneath the wreckage, a strange buzz lingered. Fans watching clips later admitted they felt it too. This wasn't the finale, it was the opening scene. The dinner wasn't closure. It was gasoline on a fire waiting to spread far beyond those four walls. The rage around the table slowly warped into something darker, a thick fog of suspicion clinging like smoke after flames. No one trusted the silence anymore. Every pause felt like a setup for the next explosion. Every glance carried the weight of an accusation. And suddenly, it wasn't just Yandy versus Mendeecees. It was everyone side-eyeing everyone, bracing for the next name to be dragged. Sierra, still simmering, broke the tension with a slow tap of her fingers on the table, each beat like a countdown. "You're not the only one with secrets," she muttered, her gaze darting to another corner. Gasps froze the room, panic flashing across faces before she even dropped a name. Whispers swirled that she wasn't done until every mask was ripped off. If she was burning bridges, she'd take the whole cast with her. Yandy leaned back, hand pressed to her forehead like the weight of years was crushing down. "This wasn't what I wanted," she whispered, voice cracking. Mendeecees pounced, instantly barking, "See? She didn't even want this. She's just being manipulated, dragged into drama she didn't start." His tone was sharp, frantic, desperate, like a drowning man clawing for an anchor. But the damage was done. Nobody believed him anymore. The cracks in his armor were too wide, the mask already shattered. And then Erica, quiet until now, finally found her voice, shaking but firm, cutting through the chaos with words that would decide who walked out exposed. "Keep going like this, and there won't be anything left, no friendship, no trust, nothing," Erica pleaded, but her words hit the floor like broken glass. Nobody in that room wanted peace. They wanted blood. They wanted resolution. And that meant ripping every layer of dirt wide open. The cameras even caught Yandy closing her eyes, like she was replaying every single choice that dragged her to this exact moment. When she finally looked up, her eyes locked straight on Mendeecees. "You think it's just me versus you," she said, her tone sharpened like a blade. "But you don't get it. Everyone's been watching. Everyone knows. I didn't create these stories, you did. The accusation didn't just land, it detonated." Sierra slammed her palm against the table so hard the glasses rattled. "Exactly. This isn't a game anymore. People are done watching you play the perfect husband while the receipts scream otherwise." Fans later tore that clip apart, claiming it was the exact moment his last shred of denial shattered on camera. That's when Mendeecees snapped. He shoved his chair back, the screech echoing like a siren, and stormed toward the door. But Sierra wasn't letting him exit stage left with the final word. She leapt up, trailing him halfway across the room. "Running away won't erase the truth," she fired back. He spun around, finger jabbing toward her like a weapon. "You don't know the truth!" His voice cracked, rage tangled with desperation. The scene erupted into pure chaos as cast and crew scrambled to hold them apart, before fists flew. Witnesses later swore it felt like two hurricanes colliding, with zero chance of calm. The shouting was so loud it drowned out every attempt to restore order. Meanwhile, Yandy stayed seated, her face a haunting mix of devastation and clarity. For the first time, it looked like she finally accepted what fans had whispered for years, that the man she shielded was now being stripped bare in front of the world, and there was nothing left to protect. And when the leaked footage hit socials, the internet went nuclear. Fans split into warring camps. Chalk your team Yandy, chalk your team Sierra, chalk your team Mendeecees. Timelines turned into battlefields, with insults flying and amateur detectives dissecting every frame like courtroom evidence. Hashtags like Table Shattered and Truth Night trended for hours, while memes compared the dinner to Judge Judy without the judge. But just when it seemed like the storm might die down, producers claimed the energy in the room didn't fade. It pivoted. And the new target? Someone no one expected, glimmered untouched under the harsh lights, and the weight of Yandy's words seemed to hang in the air heavier than the chandeliers above the table. Mendeecees sat frozen, his chest rising and falling like a man drowning in front of an audience, but refusing to admit he couldn't swim. The denial on his lips clashed with the panic in his eyes, and everyone saw it. "How many times?" Sierra pressed, her voice sharper now, almost shaking with the thrill of blood in the water. "How many nights did you lie straight to her face while the rest of us pretended not to notice?" The question wasn't just for Mendeecees. It was a knife thrown in every direction, implicating the silent witnesses around the table. Erica shifted uncomfortably, her fork clinking against her plate, and fans later slowed that exact moment down. In leaked clips, swearing her expression gave something away. Yandy caught it too. Her eyes moved from Mendeecees to Erica, and the tension multiplied instantly. "You knew, didn't you?" Yandy whispered, her voice trembling not with rage, but with betrayal. "You sat there, smiled in my face, and you knew." The table erupted again. Erica's hands shot up, denying it, insisting she never wanted to be in the middle. But Sierra pounced, practically leaping out of her chair. "Don't play dumb. You've been protecting him for years, covering tracks, acting like you're the peacekeeper. But peacekeeping is just another word for enabling." The energy hit a breaking point. Mendeecees finally slammed his hand against the table, silverware, rattling across the plates. "Stop twisting this. None of you understand what was really happening," he shouted, his voice raw, his control shattered. But the problem was, nobody believed him anymore. His silence earlier had already betrayed more than his words ever could. Social media later lit up with clips captioned, "The mask cracked," and loyalty shattered, fans arguing if Erica really knew more than she let on, or if Sierra was weaponizing suspicions to drag everyone else down with Mendeecees. The debate turned into firestorms online, with threads dissecting every glance, every twitch, every whispered denial. But back at the table, one thing became clear. Yandy wasn't just exposing her husband anymore. She was pulling everyone into the fire, one by one. And with the cameras rolling, there was no way back. The plates sat cold, glasses untouched, and the whole room seemed to suffocate under the weight of silence. No one even dared to exhale too loudly. Mendeecees stood frozen, pale, his lips parting like he had words but nothing came out. Yandy's soft accusation crushed harder than all of Sierra's screaming ever could. Finally, he croaked, "You don't know what you're talking about." But even he didn't sound like he believed himself. Sierra leaned in, her voice slicing sharp as a knife. "So now she's lying too? Please. Everyone can see you're cornered. Every excuse, every denial, you're unraveling right here in front of us." And the worst part? Heads started nodding around the table. People were finally speaking up, no longer afraid to let their doubts slip into the open. Yandy's eyes shimmered, though she refused to cry. "I was never lying for me," she whispered, her voice trembling with finality. "I was lying for us, for our family, for our kids, for the image we wanted the world to see. And I can't do that anymore." Her words landed like a gravestone, heavy, cold, and permanent. The table shifted uneasily. Some guests stared hard at Mendeecees, trying to measure if his silence came from guilt or ego, while others dropped their eyes, unwilling to face him, at all. Then, out of nowhere, Sierra slammed her fist against the table, her patience gone. "You know what? If we're spilling truths, let's not pretend this is just about Yandy and Mendeecees. Plenty of skeletons are hiding at this table." Gasp shot across the room as her finger darted toward another guest. She wasn't here to corner just one man. She was ready to set the whole dinner ablaze. Yandy shook her head, desperate to reel her back, but it was already too late. Sierra basked in the fire, eyes locked on her new target. "Don't act innocent," she hissed. "I've heard the whispers. I've seen the messages." The accused stuttered, cheeks flushed, snapping, back with the same weak denial Mendeecees had used earlier. "You don't know what you're talking about." But the damage was already done. The room turned tense, eyes darting between guests, suspicion spreading like wildfire. Everyone silently wondered who Sierra might call out next. For Mendeecees, it was a twisted blessing and curse. The spotlight shifted. Off him, but the sting of exposure still clung to his skin. He slumped back, glaring at Sierra with a promise of payback. Sierra didn't flinch. She leaned in, her voice low but cutting through the room like a knife. "Glare all you want, but you can't erase what's already out there. The truth always shows itself, whether you like it or not." The air thickened, heavy with tension. What started as a dinner had transformed into a battleground. Secrets became weapons, facades collapsed, and every lie hung in the air like smoke refusing to clear. That's when Erica, quiet until now, finally broke her silence. Her voice trembled with fear and urgency. "This is destroying everything. Once these words are out, you can't take them back. The cameras are rolling. Families will see. Kids will see." But Erica's plea was drowned out by the chaos. The thirst for revelations was stronger than any warning. Fans who later watched the footage compared it to watching a fire spread in real time. Impossible to look away, even knowing it would all burn down. Mendeecees made one last desperate defense, claiming sacrifice and loyalty. But Yandy cut him down with trembling resolve. Keeping your family safe doesn't mean betraying it. Don't twist it into something noble when all it ever did was break us apart. Her words silenced him. This wasn't anger anymore. It was heartbreak. The room seemed to close in, the outside world fading into nothing. Everyone present knew they had just witnessed the collapse of something monumental. The image of a power couple, the illusion of strength, the carefully polished facade of unity, all shattered in one devastating moment. Sierra leaned back with a smirk, tasting satisfaction, though even she seemed to recognize this had grown far bigger than her personal vendetta. The chaos had spiraled into something none of them could control. Fans who later dissected every clip noticed one chilling detail. Yandy never once raised her voice. Through all the shouting and accusations, she remained calm, her words steady and deliberate, like a judge delivering the final verdict. The dinner ended not with reconciliation, not even with explosive closure, but with eerie stillness. Mendeecees sat hunched, eyes down, refusing to meet a single stare. Yandy rose quietly, leaving with a grace that only amplified the chaos she had just unleashed. Sierra sat at the table like a battle-worn warrior, triumphant, scarred, and unwilling to back down. Outside, social media roared alive the moment clips leaked. Did Yandy just end Mendeecees on camera? One viral post asked. Debates raged instantly. Was Sierra reckless, or was she the only one bold enough to speak the truth? The night closed not with answers, but with haunting questions. Questions that would cling to the cast, their families, and every fan glued to the fallout. What began as dinner ended as devastation, the kind of storm that forces everyone to replay every second, searching for where it all truly went wrong. Fans were left analyzing every word, asking themselves who was truly right and who was just louder. Yandy's calm yet devastating words cut deeper than any shout could. Mendeecees, once untouchable, sat frozen under the weight of her truth. And Sierra, wild, fearless, unapologetic, made sure no one left that table without feeling the sting of exposure. Friendships cracked, emotions erupted, and the family everyone thought was solid showed just how fragile it really was. But the drama left more questions than answers. Will Yandy and Mendeecees ever recover from this public fracture? Did Sierra cross the line? Or was she simply brave enough to say what needed to be said? And what about the others dragged into the chaos? How will they handle the fallout now that whispers have become headlines? One thing is certain, this story is far from over. The family is divided, fans are buzzing, and the truth is still unfolding. And that's where you come in. Whose side are you on? Was Yandy right to expose the cracks, or did Sierra take things too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments because your voice matters in this chaos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more updates. Because with drama like this, you know the next shocking twist is always just around the corner.